Curiosity. What are you so curious about? Everything, Mr. Curiosity.
Alrighty, folks, Mr. Curiosity is here, and there goes Sean!
Bye!
He's out of here, webmaster. What do you think about the webmaster? You like that term, webmaster?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool term.
All right.
I wouldn't personally want it to be associated with my name, but I think it's a cool term
All right.
to have.
I am Joe Snedeker, Mr. Curiosity Podcast, and the voice you hear is from our very own Jeremy Lewan.
You can do it.
Lewan.
Lewan.
Do you know
Yes.
there's a wood called Lewan? I don't know if the spelling
Andy
is this.
Palumbo taught me about that wood.
Yeah, it's like a cheap simulated covering that you put on things.
Spelled differently.
It's called Luan.
Luan.
But yours isn't
mine
Luan.
is
You're
pronounced the same way, Luan.
so yeah, but
Just
see, I'm
quicker.
saying Luan because I'm used to using the wood, but yours is more Luan.
Luan.
All right, so Jeremy Lewan. Now, folks, before we get into this, as always, I have the bell here because if I say anything to Jeremy that makes him uncomfortable, he hits the bell and I shut up. This is Snedeker Shut Up.
Okay, I don't think we'll have to use it.
You want to practice? Snedeker Shut Up. Watch. Hey.
Should I just use the whole podcast then?
All right, so here's what I know about you because, folks, again, I go into these things not knowing the person I'm interviewing usually. And it's not an interview. It's more just a chat.
And unfortunately, we haven't had too much time to chat.
We haven't had much time together.
I only filled in for you once. And other than that, we met each other in passing.
In passing,
the studio,
two ships
so.
in the night. And
Right.
you're our new fill-in part-time meteorologist.
That's right. Yeah.
And here's what I know about you. The women love him. He's good-looking. He's well-dressed. What other meteorologist in the whole country has a side title model? This is... You are also, I think, a shock to NEPA because most NEPA meteorologists just look like nerdy guys in...
I wouldn't say that about yourself, Joe. Come on.
Well, I'm definitely not most because I have the shorts and I don't
Yeah.
wear a tie. I hate formality of any
And
type.
Valerie and Allie is extremely fashionable.
Right.
So,
My point is that WNEP allows personalities to bloom.
and that's what makes this place unique.
Yeah, and that's
Absolutely.
what I love about you. You come in, you got the man bun, you got clothes that I guess isn't traditional NEPA TV
Maybe
meteorologist.
today we're traditional.
So I got to delve into your life. I got to know all about you. So let's go back to the year that planet Earth was in when you emerged as a new child.
I am in the same century as you. I'm a 1999 baby.
I'm glad
Yes.
you. Oh,
and
that's
I'm glad I was
beautiful.
born in the last century as well, because the 2000s created a whole new type of child. So I kind of actually associate a lot with millennial childhood memories, those same games that millennials played with, but my personality is more of a Gen Z.
So, what do you think about the millennial stereotype? Are you upset by that? Do you like it? Do you fit in? What is it? Kind of like a lazy
Yeah, they
video?
say we're lazy. I would say I'm definitely not a lazy person to get
well,
where I
stereotypes
have been today.
are just that.
That's
Stereotypes
true.
are
That's
horrible.
True.
Yeah. But you want to be more of a Gen Z, you said?
I think my personality is more of a Gen Z, but my childhood memories are that of a millennial. I'm just on that cusp period. I think millennial Gen Z occurred between 1996 and 1997 or something like that.
96 is the cutoff, yeah.
99, I had a lot of the same, Etch-a-Sketches and things like that.
And what's interesting is being born in 1999, iPhones really didn't become a thing until 2008, 9, 10.
Right.
So you were still
Yeah.
a child and not everyone was hooked to their phone.
No, yeah, I didn't have that experience. So that's where the millennial Gen Z
Yeah.
cuts off, right? So I got my first cell phone when I was 10 years old. I got it for my 10th birthday.
Well, that
It was
is
a little
pretty early
flip
still. Come
phone,
on. Okay.
But it was
Like a
just
Razor? Razor?
No, it was a Samsung flip phone. My
Okay.
mom and dad got it for me for my birthday, and it was just to call when I needed to come home.
Emergency.
It was when I was outside playing with my friends, and she had to call me and say, it's time for dinner, and up I'd come.
Get out. That's interesting. You flip that thing open, Ma's calling, and
Yeah.
head out. Back in my day,
That was when you had to press 3 times to get the letter.
Oh, yes. You're right. And that seems so archaic now.
It
Why would
does.
they?
It
Who
does.
thought of that system? Well, as opposed to my time, it was be like, supper time!
Or come home when the street lights
Street lights come on,
Yeah.
or you hear one of the parents yell because it was a small neighborhood. But anyway, so you popped out 1999. to put this in reference, I was hired full-time here in 1999.
Wow.
I was working part-time before that.
Look at that. 1999 was an important
It's
year.
a big year. So where were you born?
I was born in Bayonne, New Jersey. I was born and raised in Bayonne, New Jersey.
And for those who don't know Bayonne, New Jersey.
Right across the river from New York City. So you have New York, Manhattan.
Right.
Then there's the Hudson River. And then right across Hudson River is Jersey City. South of Jersey City is Bayonne. So I am a hop, skip, and a jump away from New York City.
So NEPA people, I think of you as a city guy, even though probably if you're from that area, the city is over there. You're not a city guy. A little bit of a distinction when you say?
It's still urban.
Yeah,
it's
very
still
urban.
very urban, and I grew up in a poorer neighborhood, inner city. Technically still considered inner city, but I didn't live in a big city. I didn't live in Manhattan. I didn't live with the taxis going around. It's a smaller neighborhood. A lot of diversity. Jersey City was actually named the most diverse city in the entire country
Get out of
for
here.
quite a while. And Bayonne has a pretty diverse population too. A lot of Egyptian people, a lot of Polish influences, a big Italian population. So and a big black population, African American population. So we kind of have a large diversity, a large array of people, which you see in the city a lot of the time. But it's in a smaller neighborhood, so we have these little sections where everybody lives.
And in a way, it was like that here too. I'm a child of the 60s and 70s. I was born in 66. But where I grew up, to give you perspective, everyone kind of looked the same. NEPA, this is in the 70s, but there was the Polish church in community, the Italian church in community, the Irish church in community. So it was mainly European whites.
But nevertheless, diversity within it.
But there was diversity, and we would all get along. So not as diverse as yours, I'm sure. But now when you say that, though, do you feel like... how do I say this? Do you feel like when you came here and by the way, when did you come here for the first time? When were you introduced to northeastern PA?
So I used to come up pretty often with my mom and dad when I was young because we loved the Delaware Water Gap and we're hikers and we would go the Tammany Trail all the time. We especially loved the Dunfield Creek Trail. We would go up to Sunfish Pond. We did that a lot when I was little. So in kindergarten, and kindergarten is important because that one was when I gave my first weather forecast when I was 5 years old. We had this bear called, the stuffed animal called Traveling Teddy. And he would be in this suitcase and everybody got him for a week, throughout the kindergarten year.
So the teacher provided
The teacher
this thing?
provided Traveling Teddy. Yes, Mrs. Geary, very important lady. Hopefully
Traveling
she sees this. Traveling
Teddy.
Teddy. And we took him up the trail, up Tammany Trail. Everybody takes a picture with him and then pins it inside of the suitcase. So, you have years and years of students who are now graduated from elementary school, but still have their pictures within the suitcase of Traveling Teddy. So.
But still, Jeremy, this is a hit and run. You were just hitting into NEPA, and this is really southeastern part of our viewing area, and then getting back to the city.
Yeah.
I guess I'm asking that because when did you become, and we have to get to this in the arc of your life, but I guess what I'm getting at, did you find this area more monotone than what you were used to?
No.
More European whites everywhere.
Not
more
necessarily.
Guys like me who have these roundish heads.
Just like your pot outside, right?
That's right.
Just like
We're gonna get one of you, mate.
I'm waiting for mine.
We're gonna get one of this guy.
I hope
but you
he
know
gives
what I
me
mean?
one.
There is a little bit of a cultural shock for anybody. Even Mindy, who came from the Midwest. In Iowa, when she came here, she noticed differences. Let's just face it, there's differences. So when you come from this ethnically diverse area and you're
Right.
put here in NEPA, what do you feel?
Well, you know what? I feel like I can be a change. I feel like I can make a difference. When I came, I kind of expected myself to receive a lot of disdainful comments about what I look like
No
or
joke.
that I don't look professional
Truly?
enough because that's what I've gotten my whole life. I was told I'd have to cut my hair, I'd have to cut my beard because I look too ethnic, or that I just won't fit in, and I'd have to move really far away from home for my first job.
Interesting. You
So
mean
all
in the
these
meteorological
stereotypes,
business?
Yes, news directors that I've spoken to, meteorologists from
I'm
across the
glad
country.
you're fighting the power.
Thank you.
Because you're right. Now that we have Rokus and streaming on TV, I watch local news all across the nation. You ever do that just to see what they're like?
Yeah.
I'll watch local news from New York City, from Cincinnati, from Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's a sea of monotone boring. It's all these guys in suits with fake hair, dyed hair, maybe over-whitened teeth, blow-dried hair.
Yeah.
I want some just people being natural.
And that's what we found here in NEPA. So I want to get back to the fact that I thought that I was not going to be well received here. Just because of my different look.
Yeah.
And it was the exact opposite.
Isn't that
I
something?
received so much love from when they first announced me down at the Times Tower lighting ceremony on Thanksgiving Eve with Kurt. I received thousands of comments. Thousands of people reached out to me about how much they love my look, how much they love my
Isn't that awesome?
my hair. And I just was taken aback by it. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect all this love. And I'm so glad that people are changing their viewpoints on what professional is, and I'm helping to facilitate that.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, this is considered professional, but what you do every morning is professional. You're giving the weather and making sure that people are prepared for their day, and when it threatens their comfort or security, they're also prepared, especially for their security when it comes to their property, or when it comes to their well-being. You know, that's what a professional meteorologist does, is they provide the accurate information so that their viewers are prepared. And that's what professionalism is, not what you look like, not what you present yourself on the outside.
Couldn't agree more. And I always think the term classy and professional are two abused words, because I have a better one for you. Being professional and being classy, I can summarize it in one word. It's respect. If you have respect...
Oh, I thought you were going to summarize it as Joe Snedeker.
Oh, no. No, but I'm classy because I respect other people. That's all it takes. If you respect other people, you're classy.
100%.
Putting a suit on doesn't make you classy or give you professionalism, because there's a lot of highbrows and ignorant people who treat others horribly, and the list goes on. So, all right, so you're born in the city,
Yes.
outskirts,
So
Bayonne.
born and raised in Bayonne, and then I grew up...
Public school there?
Yes, yeah. So I went to the school just 3 blocks from my house, Woodrow Wilson Elementary School. As I said, I did my first weather forecast. I used to give weather forecasts in homeroom at kindergarten class. I would watch the Weather Channel every morning.
So this
so
was...
much so that my mom would get tired of watching the local on the 8s, and she'd like, Jeremy, shut the damn Weather Channel off at this point.
So
I'd watch it for hours.
It chose you. You didn't choose it.
No,
And that seems to
yeah.
be the story with so many meteorologists. Same thing with me.
Oftentimes, we're weather weenies, they like to call us, you know?
But is there a scientific DNA flowing through your chromosomes?
We
there?
must be having the same chromosomal flow.
No,
then,
I'm
I
wondering
guess,
your
because-
parents is what I'm getting at.
Well, my mom's a nurse and my dad's a pharmacist, so they're both involved in
Yeah,
science.
so these are both science careers, the scientific methods. So
But
you
I don't
already
think
have that.
I don't think that really influenced me at all. You know,
You
from a
don't
very young
know.
age, I was fascinated by rainstorms specifically. You could not get me back inside during a rainstorm. I'd have my little umbrella, my little galoshes on, and I'd be standing there. What really fascinated me was the water going down the gutters.
The rivulets of water just...
As it goes past down the street into the gutter, I would just stand there for hours. I'd throw a leaf in the top of the street, and then I'd run with it as it got to the end. And I'd have my parents out there for hours watching me, waiting for me to be done.
See, this was your introduction to fluid dynamics.
Oh, I don't know if that gave me enough of an introduction to fluid dynamics, let me tell you.
So
I didn't see any calculus equations floating in that little
no,
rivulet.
that stuff is torture. So are there siblings?
No, I'm an only child.
Only child, so I can't compare you and say, oh, look, your sister did the same thing, or your brother had an interest in science. We don't know. We don't know. You're the only one. Okay, so...
And a lot of the times I get questions, hey, were you ever lonely as an only child? Did you ever want siblings? And I didn't. I was showered with love.
I think no one's ever going to know what it's like to have something they never had. It's like asking a blind man if they miss seeing, though. You don't know.
You're right.
Yeah, you do. So
You're right.
You know, if you had been blessed with brothers and sisters, now you'd probably be like, I couldn't live without them. But you never had it, so you don't miss it.
I think I had very close cousins.
Right.
They live upstate New York, and I spent a lot of time in my childhood with them, and very close friends. My best friend lives directly across the street from me, and I'd spend so much time with him across the street that he was basically my brother.
Oh, gotcha.
And just having close friends and close family members, I always felt, supported by a really close network of close friendships and close relationships.
And that's important.
So, yeah. So I never felt like I needed a sibling.
So during the schooling years, you said you and your buddies would all hang out and everything. Was it like stickball, touch football?
A
Are
lot
you
of
doing
touch
all
football, yeah.
that kind
So
of thing?
right behind my house, there's a street, and we all used to play out on the street, manhunt all the time,
Yeah.
touch football all the time, and we were very close there in the back street. We would go up and down playing together all the time. There was a lot of stray cats that we ended up befriending. So we had a whole menagerie of friends down there.
So when I'm picturing this neighborhood, though, is there trouble right around the corner too, or not that kind of thing?
There's rough neighborhoods in every city.
Yeah.
Right. But I was lucky enough to grow up in one where I was able to play outside on the street without fear of being taken. And there's always the look over your shoulder on your way to school. But
gotcha.
I was just going to continue to tell you real quick about the kindergarten class that I would go in and I'd give my forecast in homeroom, and my kindergarten teacher encouraged me to do that. She kept telling me, hey, you should continue to do this. I'm really proud of you. And then she would spend special time with me. She used to actually give me special lessons at the second grade reading level because I was a little bit advanced for my time. In kindergarten. But after giving those forecasts in homeroom, my students started stealing my thunder, so to speak, and started giving forecasts in homeroom themselves. So they'd bring their little slip of paper just like I would.
Because they saw you getting the extra attention?
Giving the forecast. So I would come home crying, and I was like, I'm not the only weatherman in the class anymore.
Oh, my God. You'd think they would have been creative and taken a different approach, maybe cover sports or something. But
they wanted to try out the weather scene. But I think I'm the only one who actually continued to pursue it. But throughout elementary school at Woodrow Wilson, as I rose through the grades, I became known as the school weatherman, and they used to have me give weather forecast over the loudspeaker during right after the Pledge of Allegiance. I used to give weather forecasts, especially when there was a snowstorm coming up, and then I'd have people coming up to me in the halls all the time. Hey, is there going to be a snow day tomorrow? What's the probability?
This is unbelievable. This is my exact future too. So it didn't wax or wane. All along you knew it was there and you pursued it. There was no doubt passing thing.
No doubt that I want to be a meteorologist, and I'm very lucky that I had nothing but nurturing parents and nurturing mentors throughout my entire life. No one ever dissuaded me from being a meteorologist.
Why would they?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of the time I hear students who wanted to be meteorologists and ended up going into some other field because their parents just didn't ever support them with something like that. They thought it was all glitz and glamour, or they just didn't see a point in going into something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't even
become a
imagine
doctor, become a lawyer, do something with your life that's going to be fulfilling and actually going to make us some money.
That's the worst advice ever.
Exactly. I completely agree with you, and that's why I'm so lucky to have gotten advice to continue to be pursuant of this passion that I've always had since I was little.
Follow the passions, man.
Yep.
Then the rest comes.
Yep.
So did you, when you're in middle school now and getting into high school and you're taking your trigonometry and your calc and your chemistry and your physics, did they all come easy? Were you breezing through that stuff? Were you? I guess what I'm asking, were you kind of the Poindexter, the nerdy?
I don't think anything comes easy to me. I work for everything I get.
Okay.
I'm a very hard worker, and I achieved what I achieved because of how hard I worked. I'm not super smart. All I do is I work hard. In 8th grade, I started to delve into the more climate change sector of meteorology, the climate science versus the weather. And for those of you who don't know, weather is your outfit. Climate is your wardrobe. That's what I like to say.
I like how he's addressing the camera. See, all these interviews are on YouTube. If you're listening, you can watch on YouTube also.
Weather is what you, as you well know, weather is what you experience every day. Climate is the long term. How does this area experience the weather on a long-term basis? So I started to become fascinated by that, and I did some research for my science fair project about the effects of increased carbon dioxide on the atmosphere and how it's going to continue to warm our climate.
At what point? You're in like 10th, 11th grade?
This is now 8th grade.
Oh, 8th grade, okay.
So they sent me, I won a gold medal in my 8th grade class for my project, and then they sent me to the Hudson County Science Fair, which is where Bayonne is located in Hudson County. And I was the first ever gold medalist for my elementary school in the entire county.
How awesome is that?
For that project. So
now, may I ask, with that project, students that age are typically doing volcanoes or solar systems, some little mock demonstration. You can't do a demonstration of carbon dioxide in a little atmosphere. Did you have?
I did create a little atmosphere myself.
Like how?
So
a little glass greenhouse?
I created a bottle, plastic bottle. So it was a seltzer bottle.
Okay.
And I affixed it to my mom's old car, the muffler, and I had that go into one bottle, and then I had a control bottle of just regular atmosphere, and then I heated it up with I can't remember what source I used to heat it, but then I checked it with a temperature gun, and one was warmer, warmer
this is
than
pretty
the other.
ingenious.
So
that is pretty
of course,
cool.
there's increased levels of carbon dioxide
So
in
you got the
car
carbon
exhaust.
dioxide from the exhaust,
Yeah.
which had a higher concentration. That's pretty cool.
So
Also particulates and
also particulates and all kinds of other types of greenhouse gases that come out of our cars.
yeah, water vapor.
But yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
that's
pretty
how
cool.
I did it, and it was pretty awesome to be able to be received for that award. To receive that award and to bring honor to my school, who had never gotten that honor before. It was such a big deal that everybody in the school got no homework that day. And there are students to this day who were in first grade when I was in 8th grade will tell me, "You're the kid who got us no
outta
homework
here.
that
Wow.
day."
See, that's pretty awesome.
And I don't know if it's ever happened since.
That's awesome. So it was like a regional competition. Did you?
It was a Hudson County science fair. So the entire county, I was the only 8th grade gold medalist.
How many were in your class throughout your education, like a graduating class? In
So
your
my
school?
graduating class about 100
Oh, so this is small stuff.
in my school, but there's
Yeah.
11 or 12 elementary schools throughout all of Bayonne.
Right, but
And then there's
no.
how many schools throughout all of Hudson County?
Oh, that's
So-
interesting. Because a lot of times you'll hear city people. I keep calling you that. You're probably rolling your eyes. They're graduating with 300, 400, 500 students.
That's
and I know
that's in the high school.
So did you in the high school realm? did
So
you?
there's Bayonne High School,
Right.
But there's also several technical vocational high schools, more like magnet schools throughout the county, called the Hudson County Schools of Technology. And I got accepted to High Tech High School in North Bergen, which was a hour-and-a-half bus ride every morning.
Brutal. You're getting
brutal.
up an hour and a half earlier, even though early is too early already for students at that
Yeah.
age.
So I was up around 5 every morning.
So that
for high
technical school means what? Is this like an
It was-
academic AP thing?
It was
or
a
is
blue ribbon high school, and it was actually named like 12th best in the country when I had applied.
So you're getting the cream of the
accept-
crop in a public school.
I'm really lucky to have been able to go there. You know, I was with students who with a like mind, you know, or same mindset as I had, very determined, very persistent, very smart, and I was able to associate with these students from across the county who have all these different interests. But the reason I wanted to go to high tech is because you can major in high school. That was what made it different from Bayonne High School. You could have your own major, and they had an environmental science major at my high school. And I
Interesting.
applied for that and got in, and you know, that had a specific focus.
I was going to say they tailor the
on-
courses to your future endeavor.
Right, exactly. So I got to take courses in GIS, geospatial informatics. I got to take specific courses in environmental science, in field research. We got to do soil samples every morning.
The geoscience is number one.
The geosciences, exactly.
So, if I understand this, because I didn't know this exists, actually, this is almost like when you hear of students going to a private school. They're getting the cream of the crop.
We got a private school education at a public
At
school.
a public school. Is this rare, do you know? I don't.
I would think so.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I'm really lucky to have gone there.
But you
And
had to, of course, reach
Apply and-
applied and take a certain level of courses and have this certain deemed, you know, you're intellectually qualified to do such a thing.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. That's awesome.
But I'm really lucky to have gone there, and with students who are so diverse in thought and interest. You know, there
Yeah.
were students who were dance majors that I was friends with, students who
Oh.
were digital design majors who helped me with my project sometimes. You know, art majors. Had friends who were biomedical majors. A lot of biomed students because you know science
Yeah,
crossed
yeah,
over.
yeah.
We had a lot of classes together.
But it also increases the competition. You're not the smartest guy around anymore. If you stayed in the public realm with everybody else, you stand out.
I'm not
Now-
intimidated by that. I don't need to be the most guy in the
Well,
room.
I'm just saying. But now, yeah, you're rivaling with the cream of the crop.
But I'm really lucky
that's
to have
awesome.
been with such students, you know, who are really as propelled as I am.
And nothing through these years took you away from your desires for
No,
meteorology,
in
right?
fact, it actually, what I like to say, intensified my Category 1 desire to be a meteorologist
You see
to
what
a
he did there?
Category 5
You see
passion.
what he's doing? He's making a hurricane connection here.
It became a Category 5 interest in wanting to become a meteorologist. My environmental science teacher, Miss Witham, she was a very important influence on my future. I had her as my homeroom teacher, and she was well aware of me wanting to be a meteorologist. And she found this opportunity at Penn State University here in Pennsylvania called Advanced Weather Camp, where we could go for a week and experience what it's like to be a meteorologist, do our own green screen experience. We'd go to National Weather Service, AccuWeather Studios.
Get out of here.
But it was $1,000, and there was no way I could afford that.
Whoa, wait, back up. So what grade is this?
This is 10th grade summer. So
10th
just
grade
sophomore
summer.
year summer into junior year.
Now, I hate to sound like a jerk now, but your mom making good money, the dad pharmacy, I believe you said. This is a middle, if not high end category of income. So I would think $1,000 in a summer. Come on.
Yeah, we don't have
Am I
that much
getting?
money.
Are we going for the
No, not at all.
You know,
But
it's not like, oh, my father, he worked in the factory, and my
That's
mom
true.
stayed at home. I didn't have any money. I mean, $1,000, you think they'd say, hey, we can do this?
Luckily, I had some financial help
Okay.
from Miss Witham because we're still not really well off, and
Gotcha.
it's good to be able to have people who can give you the financial assistance when you need it.
So you get a grand and you do it.
So yes, Shelley Witham, Miss Witham, now Dr. Witham, I should call her. She got her doctorate while after I graduated. Dr. Witham was super persistent for me to go to this weather camp. So she rallied the foundation, the Hudson County Schools of Technology Foundation, for a grant for me to be able to go to this weather camp.
Oh, that is so cool.
So I got a $1,000 scholarship to go. And as a token of my appreciation while I was there, I made a video diary just to show the foundation what I did and the principal, over the summer.
To say, hey, this was worth your investment in me.
Right. And I always loved video making. I found this little auxiliary passion of mine, and I started doing some videos. I love bike riding, just like you do. I do pretty long bike rides. I did a 22-mile bike ride up to Edgewater from Bayonne, which is just by the George Washington Bridge. Another time, my friend and I went on a 45-mile bike ride over the George Washington Bridge, down
Done
Manhattan.
that many times. It's awesome on
So-
the Greenway Trail, right?
It's called the Hudson River Waterfront Walkway.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I've been on that.
right
That's
around,
awesome.
Right around there. Right.
Going over the GW on a bike
Is awesome.
is life altering.
It is.
It really.
So if you get the chance, you should do it.
Oh, you got to do it.
And now I'm going over the other way, over the Bayonne Bridge, now that it's finished, into Staten Island with friends. So the reason I brought that up is because I made a lot of videos on my bike trips, and you can find them on YouTube. But I started to delve into this passion of making videos while I was at the weather camp too. I was 16. And when I came back and showed it to the principal after the summer, I came back in September and showed it to the principal, and I said, hey, this is what I did. He watched the video and he said, this is great. We got to get Frank in here. Frank's the superintendent of the Hudson County Schools of Technology.
Okay.
So they brought Frank Garagiulo in. And he said, this is great. We got to get him as the speaker at the gala.
Oh, see?
So that's just, I never expected, this to be important. I just did it because I felt like it was right, and I wanted to document the trip.
Yeah.
So I ended up being the student speaker, the only student speaker at the Hudson County Schools of Technology Foundation Gala, because they were raising money for their new campus. So they moved from North Bergen to Secaucus into a new building, and they were raising money.
So when you're being lofted and respected and loved by peers and educators and taking on these new responsibilities, do you embrace it? Do you like it, or is it like, I don't want to do that speaking engagement? Or
Absolutely not.
You love
It's called giving back. If you are given an opportunity, you have to give back to what gave you that opportunity. That's how I live my life.
Yeah,
There's
but
no-
some people are naturally slightly introverted, and even though they're
that's not a
appreciative
problem
of
with me.
things, it's like, I don't want to stand in front of all those
I am
people.
a definite extrovert.
Oh, okay, so
no
you
issue with me.
enjoy-
And
oh.
me being a broadcast meteorologist, I have to be comfortable with speaking. So and I gave lots of speeches. I was the 8th grade valedictorian of my class, so I gave a long speech my valedictory address.
A lot of times you don't seem to me like that showy, arrogant type. A lot of times
Well, I'm glad.
that gets mixed in. The people who enjoy that stuff are often the blowhards.
Well,
But
I
you
try
don't
my best to
seem
live
that.
humbly.
Yeah, you seem very grounded and humble.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
and then you do these presentations and awards, and it keeps taking you to the next level, so to speak, right?
Yeah. And that's every door opens another one.
Yeah.
So I went and did this gala speech, and who was the master of ceremonies, but none other than Mike Woods from Fox 5 in New York.
So I don't know the name.
Mike Woods is the Good Day New York meteorologist on. He's the broadcast morning meteorologist.
Okay.
On
Everyone,
Fox.
everyone, knows
Everybody
him.
in New York
Okay.
knows Mike Woods.
All right.
So he was the MC for the event, and he introduced me as the speaker. I went up there, I gave my speech, and then I presented him with a commemorative umbrella from one meteorologist to another that said HCST Foundation on it. And the next morning, he had me on the morning news
So
with a
he
picture
says,
of
"Come
me.
on!" And
No, not in person.
Oh, okay.
He had a picture of me,
okay.
and he said who I was on the morning news.
Now,
and
did you grow up watching this guy?
I grew up watching Lonnie Quinn
Okay.
on Channel 2. He's been my role
And you
model
didn't tell him
since
that?
I was little. Of course not. But Lonnie Quinn has been my role model since I was little. And my mom actually set up a meeting with Lonnie Quinn. She took her a year when I was 12.
Another
for my 13th
meteorologist?
birthday. Yes, this
Okay.
is my role model. And she set up this meeting when I was 13. I kind of skipped over this. It took her a year to get in contact with him, and she did it all in secret. And she brought me over to New York City for my birthday with my dad, and they said, "Oh, we're going to the Empire State Building. We've never done that before." And of course, me being a meteorologist, said, "It's foggy out tonight. What are we going to see up at the top of the Empire State Building?"
yeah.
And I'm just being a little twerp the whole night about, "I don't want to go to the Empire State Building today. Why don't we reschedule?" And she's like, "We already bought the tickets. We got to go." And then I find myself at CBS Studios, and I'm like, "What are we doing here?" And she said, "You've always wanted to meet Lonnie Quinn, didn't you?" And I was like, "No way." And out he came.
So there he was. Now,
So-
is he still doing his thing?
He still is, yes. He's been a broadcast meteorologist for many years on CBS 2. He's the chief on CBS 2.
So solid
New York.
dude. You met him. Everything's cool.
Oh
This-
my God,
this
he
is-
was more than gracious. He treated us like family. He gave me a personalized tutorial in front of the green screen.
Oh, yeah?
I did a full forecast, full Maine weather.
Get outta here.
In front of the green screen, not on air,
Not
of
on air,
course, but I did the whole thing, including the 7-day, and I got to meet the anchors, who I know well from watching them every night. But anyway, he's a role model of mine. Meteorologist Lonnie Quinn.
So
But
all of this is further emboldening your desires
to
for
become a
meteorology. I mean,
meteorologist,
there's no
Category 5,
it's almost
full-on
like it has to
superstorm.
happen now.
Exactly.
There's no turning.
My life really reads like a book, you know? So many people are not lucky enough to know what they want to do when they're so young. And to have this passion and to have nurtured this passion my whole life is something that's really special. And I don't take it for granted. But
So the next stage is obvious. You start applying for colleges. And
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
don't
yeah.
realize this, that there's not a lot of schools that offer meteorology.
That's correct. Only
There's-
60 universities across the United States offer meteorology
I'm glad. So you
degrees.
probably have more information than I do.
Between
Okay,
60 and
60 across
70.
the nation. How many in the Northeast? Let's say Pennsylvania, New
4.
York, New Jersey. There's Millersville University,
Millersville,
where I went.
Rutgers University,
There's
where I went,
Rutgers, where you went. There's Penn State,
Penn
of
State.
course. There's up in
where John Hickey went.
John Hickey. I can't.
The one in New
it's
Hampshire,
escaping
right?
my mind now, but yeah. So there's not many. So
maybe
you,
4 or 5.
and you say I am going to do this, and I have to narrow it down.
Right.
Did you
and
know
I
right
didn't
off the
have
bat?
to really narrow it down. So I did the Penn State thing. I did the weather camp.
Yeah. So I thought that would hook you in. You become drink the Kool-Aid Penn
Right.
State guy now.
So did I. But when I went there, it was a little too far away from home.
Okay.
It was about a 5-hour drive from home. And
Yeah.
I couldn't just go home on weekends if I wanted to. And that's a little too far from mom. And I just felt a little isolated. You know, Penn State is in Happy Valley, and that's all that's there.
Yes,
There's
yes.
no way out. If you wanted to get out of there, it's just Penn State. You're in this little cocoon. And I wanted the mobility of being able to go to New York. Say I got an internship in New York further down the line, there just would be no mobility at Penn State. So, and also just the cost of going to an out of state university, it just wasn't in the cards. So I only applied to Rutgers University.
Linden
See-
State, just
Oh.
remembered. That's the one in New England.
yes,
Linden
thank you.
State. Why not Millersville? Didn't even consider that. Still too far.
Also
away?
not New Jersey.
Oh, so it was the out of state.
Out of state, right. So Rutgers University, I toured. I went to the open house, and I kind of liked it. And I applied, and it's the only school that I applied to, only university. And when I applied, I got into the Honors College at Rutgers. So the Honors College is a special school within Rutgers, which has increased requirements. It actually has a lower acceptance rate than Princeton, Harvard, and Yale. It's a 5% acceptance rate to the Honors College. And similar to high tech, you get to live and work among students from all kinds of different
I was going to say,
realms.
what's the benefit of this? That's
Increased
it?
opportunities.
Oh, okay.
Being able to live in the Honors College with other people from different backgrounds. So so I got into the Honors College, and I committed, and I lived with a roommate, random. His name was Michael, and he was great. He was a double major in vocal performance and musical education. So on one side of the room, you have me doing calculus and physics on my computer.
Overlap. There's no
and
overlap.
on the other side of the room, he's practicing his vocal cords and doing his, annotations of music notes and things like that. So it was just like these two, hey, you have left brain and right brain, the way different people think. It was like having two totally different vibes. And it worked so well together.
Now, did you pre-set this up with him through some application process, or they just threw you together? How did you?
A lot of people go in random, but we get to know each other through this Facebook group, and that's why I had to make a Facebook. I would have never had a Facebook otherwise. I'm in that earlier generation that never have Facebook.
It's for the old people.
I wouldn't say for the old people, but we're more of Instagram people in our generation. But anyway, I made a Facebook because there was this Facebook group for all the students coming into the Honors College. And we found students. We would put on our little biography and some pictures of us. And Michael reached out to me and said, hey, you look normal. You want to be roommates? And I was like, sure. So that's how that's how it happened. But we were still pretty much random. All we said was, sure. So
hey, sometimes you see a connection. It's like when you find the girl of your dreams or the man of your dreams, right? There's just something there.
Yeah.
So you're at Rutgers, everything what you thought. You're taking the calculus, the chemistry, the physics.
So I applied for meteorology, but I was also in the Honors College. So I had all these additional requirements. I had to take classes in interdisciplinary honors seminars. And
this sounds like torture to me.
No,
maybe
definitely
I'm not a go-getter.
because you can make it into what you want it. There's interdisciplinary honor seminars that span the gamut.
But let's
of
face
interest.
it, you're doing more work.
Yes, but it doesn't feel like more work.
Because
you
it's
you
your
have
passion,
to take
I guess,
you
right.
have to take electives in college, and instead of taking electives, I took honors college requirements. But they were still kind of electives. So in my freshman year, I took a Burn seminar, which is a one-credit course, part of my honors college curriculum, that you have to take a seminar that kind of expands your interests. It's for
Burn.
Yeah, BYRNE.
Okay.
It's named after a governor, I think,
Oh, okay.
of New Jersey. Who might have given some money to Rutgers. But anyway, I took this Burn seminar, and I chose one about the Raritan River. Now, the Raritan River is a very important ecosystem that splits Rutgers campus in half. Now, Rutgers is huge. It's 5 different campuses. You have to take a bus to get from one to the other. And it actually has the biggest bus system outside of public transportation for a city in the entire country. So Rutgers is, and I know all these little facts because I was a tour guide for Rutgers.
See, Jeremy's done it all, this guy.
I have. So anyway, I took this Burn seminar on the Raritan River, and I fell in love with the Raritan. We got to go out on this boat trip down the Raritan. We got to see the ecosystem for what it is. And all the students at Rutgers think to themselves, oh, the Raritan River, it's this dirty river that runs through Rutgers, and we got to cross it to go over our bus. But what it is a flourishing ecosystem that is vital to so many different species.
As any waterway is.
As any waterway is. But this one specifically is like keystone to central New Jersey. So I fell in love with the Raritan, and I looked for more and more opportunities in my interdisciplinary honors seminar obligations to fulfill the Raritan. So I took the secondary course to this Tracing the Raritan River seminar as an interdis. Now, this is a 3-credit course, a little bit more involved, had more projects involved. Got to go out on the Raritan again, but this time do some sampling of the water. Got to take different instruments out.
But now we're doing more ecological than physical science and meteorology.
Right.
You're
And
taking a little turn here,
That's
brother.
what I want to point out.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Nothing ever steered me away from meteorology at all.
Right, but you discovered
I discovered new
things.
passions. I opened new doors and realized, hey, I want to walk through the meteorology door, but I can still walk through, I still want to walk through the other doors, too. So I started to find this auxiliary passion in oceanography.
Whoa!
That I really enjoyed.
I teach it at Marywood. You're
I'm starting to tickle your fancy, right?
Yes.
But I started to love this marine science.
But it sounds like you're a geoscience guy in oceanography
I
and
am a
geology and meteorology.
They
They're all there,
are
man.
connected, exactly. So I continued to take my required courses in meteorology, started to ascend through the levels, took all my calculus classes. You need to take Calc 1 through 4 for meteorology, Physics 1 and 2, chemistry, got all those prereqs out of the way. And now I'm getting up into the thermodynamics, dynamics, synoptic meteorology, mesoscale meteorology. And that's where the math really becomes absolutely influential and indispensable to meteorology.
I thought you were going to say insane, too.
Oh, it definitely becomes insane, for sure. And that's something about marine science, it remains grounded in what you're focused in. You know, marine
So
science.
you're doing a little contrasting here, I guess. Is that what you're doing?
Meteorology is so math heavy,
Yes.
and you kind of can lose your love when you're deep in those equations.
See, now this gets us into a whole different realm, because as you and I know, there's another way to become at least a broadcast meteorologist, and that is a lot of TV people you see doing meteorology, they come out of college as journalists.
Right. And then they take that deviation shift because they see the weather guy on the green screen. They're like, hey, that was kind of fun.
No, but a lot of these, a lot of broadcast meteorologists, they may not even have taken a science course for their 4-year college degree, maybe one.
Right.
And guys like you and I kind of feel that's a little unfair, because then
we've gone through the trenches. We've been in the trenches.
Then they get out of college and they get a broadcast job and they're a reporter and they're like, I want to do meteorology. And then they take an online
certificate course,
which makes you a broadcast meteorologist. Now, is it a watered down, poor man's approach to meteorology? I don't know. You can argue both ways. One, and there's less math and there's less labs and chemistry, and so
but I can take solace in the fact that I'm a true scientist. You know, I'm a scientist by trade, and I can use that to my advantage in my future. You know, I don't see my future just consisting of broadcast meteorology. It'll always consist of broadcast meteorology, but it just won't always solely consist
and that
of
term
broadcast
scientist,
meteorology.
yeah, and I know what you're saying. So if you're a broadcast meteorologist, are you a scientist? If you're a degree meteorologist without the broadcast component, are you a scientist? What is a scientist? A lot of enterprises consider PhD, and do you do research? Now you're a scientist.
And
So
I
it's
did do research
It's a
throughout
loose
college.
term, but that's my point, Eric.
But I know that in my heart, I am a scientist, and that gives me incredible fulfillment.
I love it. I love it.
So,
what is the Ekman spiral? Do you know?
Of course, I know the Ekman
See, I'm
spiral.
doing-
Come on, we're going to talk about boundary layer physics now. I'm right out of college.
See,
I
folks,
remember
I'm
everything.
I'm testing him. All right, he knows the Ekman spiral. All right, so we don't want to get
It's
too.
the turning of the wind as the boundary layer continues. And what is it? A backing or a veering?
Veering to the right.
To the right. Yes.
Northern hemisphere.
Northern hemisphere, right? Coriolis effect.
But anyway,
And that's why we can have this conversation.
Yes,
about,
we can.
about
We don't want
science
to get
stuff.
too bogged down.
Of course not.
Because I only have about an hour, and we're cutting through time here.
Oh, boy.
I want to get to some interesting
we
stuff
got some meat and potatoes.
But
Wait,
you're so
let me get through college.
Finish it up.
Let me get through college. So I found this auxiliary passion in oceanography. And then I started to crave more field research experiences out on the water. So I found this experience called STEMCs, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, student experiences aboard ships.
See what they did there?
Yes, it's a great acronym. It's a mouthful, but it's definitely effective. So I found this STEMCs program, and it allows a 6 to 10 day exploratory experience on board a National Science Foundation research vessel, National Science Foundation funded research vessel, where you get to conduct your own research on board a vessel on a transit from one location to another. So this is 2019 into 2020. I applied, and I got into the program. Then COVID hit.
Oh.
And they canceled all transits.
Oh.
Also 2020 into
So you're
2021.
you're on a research vessel. Is this like the Glomar Challenger? What is this kind of?
It's a smaller vessel,
Okay.
about a 270-foot long boat.
But you're doing
several
seining,
decks.
sampling, coring. You're doing a little bit of
coring,
everything? Okay.
sampling of water, plankton toes to be able to pull up some microorganisms and do some
Gotcha.
testing on
Yep.
it. And
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. 2020. Also 2020 to 2021, my junior into senior year. That's your prime year for an internship. And now remember Lonnie Quinn, right, from earlier,
Yes,
our conversation that I met when I was 13 years old. I kept in contact with him throughout all of high school, throughout all of college, and I went and visited him again beginning of 2020 to see him in the studio. And I said, my internship year is coming up. And he's like, I know, I've always thought about you having as an intern. I'd love to have you. There's 600 or 700 applicants, but I'll put in a good word for your name. We'll see how things go. 2020 rolls around, COVID hits. Lonnie tells me, sorry, Jeremy, all internships are canceled until summer 2022. By then, I'm already graduated. That's my summer after graduation. Then I call up NBC, ABC, Fox in New York, Boston, Philly, Baltimore. Every single one of them canceled their internships because of COVID. This is an unprecedented experience. Nobody knows how to handle COVID. We don't know how anything's going to
We couldn't even have guests
handle.
in our building. Of course not. There's no internship. So what do you do?
So I scrambled. And I went to the virtual AMS conference, the American Meteorological Society conference, in 2021, the virtual conference. It would have been in New Orleans, but it was virtual. and I met on a panel Catherine Prosiv. She's the senior weather producer for the Today Show.
So you meet her. You're on a panel.
On a panel virtually.
She's
just on
dozens
Zoom.
of people.
Hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people.
And
on
she's
this
just
panel.
one little head.
And she's one little
on
head
the
on the
Zoom
panel,
panel.
right? She's talking. She was one of the panelists, and she put out her contact information. You know, if you're ever interested in getting to talk to her, whatever. You know, she put out her email. So I emailed her and I said, "Hey, Catherine. I know this is a long shot, but there's no internships available because of COVID, and I have absolutely no internship experience, and I need it in order to be able to be a broadcast meteorologist. I need to know what it's like to work in this industry. Is there any opportunity to be able to at least shadow you for a day to see what you do at the Today Show?"
Oh, this is good.
So she comes back, she emails me, she says, "Hey, Jeremy, thank you so much for reaching out. Looks like after talking with my boss, you're not going to be able to shadow me at NBC because it's confidential information and you wouldn't be able to see it unless you work for NBC. Okay. So how about we start talking about an internship?" She said, "We're going to look into it and see if we can facilitate it." A few weeks later, she slides me the application and says, "We have now opened our application for National Climate Unit Intern for the NBC News Unit at 30 Rock in New York City."
And that's with
Al Roker. He is the chief meteorologist there at the Today Show.
See, now, wait.
And they opened up this application because I asked about, you know, this being a possibility.
But we got to stop.
Because Catherine never knew. You know, she's so busy in the professional realm.
Well, that's what
she never thought to herself, "Oh, wow, these people are really..."
So there's a lot here, though. It's number one, it's persistence on your part. Number two, it's out of the box thinking. Number three, did she know of you? Maybe
No.
you already have her. You're just another.
Just another student in meteorology from across the country.
But somehow this worked.
So I was up against students from across the country now. So this is an extreme internship, right?
But
This
it's
is
an
national.
unconventional approach, which is the beauty of it.
It is. It is an unconventional approach, and it was something I never would have thought I would have gotten. So, you have these local internships, but now they don't exist anymore. So everybody is now hyper-competitively trying to get this national internship, and now I'm not just facing competition from my local area, but from across the country. So in my mind, I had no shot getting this internship.
Yes.
But Catherine reached back out to me.
But why wasn't there still COVID? Why would they allow this during COVID?
So this is 2021.
Oh, so it's
So we
tailing
had just started
off.
getting vaccinated, and there looked to be, you know, there was light at the end of the tunnel, and it was a pretty much virtual internship with some hybrid opportunity if it were safe enough.
But it's persistence and good luck.
Yes, persistence, good luck, and good timing.
And I'm going to say unconventional thinking.
And good people to be able to make things work.
See, if there's anyone listening that could be inspired by a guy like Jeremy, it's you got to be persistent.
You can't give
got
up.
to think out of the box.
You know how many
can't give
times I
up.
thought to myself after calling a newsroom? One time I called some newsroom in Baltimore, and it was election day 2020. And I was like, "Hi, I'm a meteorology student majoring in meteorology at Rutgers University, and I'm really interested in having an internship, but pretty much everybody's canceling them due to COVID. Do you have any opportunities available?" And the person on the line said, "Do you know what day it is today? It's election day. Don't you ever call here again." And after I had that call, I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah, but you're going to run into cranky people. You can't let them get to you.
Of course. But, you know, you might have those people, and they might dissuade you from ever trying again.
Don't
but
let
I didn't.
them.
I just kept being persistent and tried somebody new.
Oh, God, yeah. I love this.
So anyway, Catherine, I went through 3 interview rounds with them, and I was chosen as the only climate unit intern for this national position.
So they had others in mind, not just you?
Oh, yeah. There were lots of applicants.
Oh, so that's where you...
And I'm very lucky to have been chosen.
So you're there with Al Roker.
So now I'm there with Al Roker.
Give it
So
to
yes,
me,
yes.
baby. Al's a good guy, solid guy.
May 2021, I was signed on as the climate unit intern. My first onboarding week was in June, and I was the climate unit intern for the entire summer. And then I was reassigned as the climate unit again for the fall and the spring. So I was a 3-time intern.
That's pretty impressive.
In a row, 3 semesters in a row.
But is that normal, or they had to have liked you and loved your work, so we'll do it again, kept moving?
I'm lucky, yes.
And we need
that
to
they
tell
liked
everyone,
who I was.
We need to tell everyone, no, nothing against Al Roker, but there's an example of a guy who I think has a teaching degree. No science
journalism.
background.
He's a journalist.
Journalist.
Journalism degree.
So
from SUNY Oswego.
Even though he is the nation's weatherman, meteorologist, he does not have the science background.
Yes, and as such,
But that's okay.
he needs a briefing every morning.
So
every
comes
morning at
Jeremy.
4 a.m., I would give him a FaceTime call with the other producers of the show and give him his briefing of what's occurring across the country so that he's prepared. We'd make all of his graphics behind the scenes, so I got a really great education in how to use the same software we use here at WNEP.
Max is used throughout the
so
country.
I used how to figured out how to use all those graphics, and I also had a lot of practice at Rutgers. We have our own studio, and that's another thing that drew me to Rutgers. At Penn State, you have to be a upperclassman before you can do broadcasts online. On air.
Take that, Penn
Whereas
State.
at
Rutgers got
Rutgers,
you
you
beat.
can start from the day you come in as a freshman.
There you go. I love it.
So I started my freshman doing that on-air thing, and I got more interest in Max while I was with Al.
Max is the software system.
Right,
we
right,
use.
the software system.
But does Al, the guy like Al who's been doing this for decades, is it just another intern? Like, does he see guys like you every 3-4 months? Or you're just another one in a series of?
I tried to make myself well known. Anytime there was a remote opportunity, I was right there asking Al, "Hey, can I come with you?"
And
So
he's receptive
he
to
went.
that?
He did this Rokerthon. It's on the first day of summer.
Oh, yeah.
And he tried to break a Guinness World Record where he had the longest weather reporting relay. And
I remember that. Yeah.
I went down to Long Branch. I drove down to Long Branch,
didn't
New
have to.
Jersey. No, I didn't have to.
See, that's what I mean.
actually
There's
worked the
more-
entire morning. Most of my shifts were 2 a.m. to 10 a.m.
There's more above and beyond.
I take every opportunity that is available to me. I look at life like a cornucopia. And if you don't take the effort to take the apple out of the cornucopia, then it's just going to sit there tantalizing you, right?
So cornucopia, all those fruits, they're coming out. What about it narrows at the end of the cornucopia? What's your metaphor do there?
I think life is an infinite cornucopia.
Okay,
And every
so it
time you
does-
take an apple, it replaces itself.
So
regenerates.
It's not a narrow dead end.
No,
Okay.
not narrow dead end. Yeah.
You scared me there.
No.
So working with Al was great. That
Yes,
seemed
working
great
with
guy?
Al was great. I got to go on remote there and do that broadcast. I was there with live support right there on set. I was on the Today Show several times. I went with a sign that took me 10 hours to make that said, "I heart the Today Show," and I'm Al Roker's intern. And I was in the background. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll find my video. I have a bunch of snippets of me with my sign in the background. And then I was chosen later as a contestant on the show, where they introduced me as a meteorologist from Bayonne, New Jersey. So Jenna Bush Hager as well as Chanel Jones, who are the co-hosts of the
really?
third hour. Yeah.
So because you are such a go-getter, a smart guy, a good-looking guy, a hard worker, did you stand out there? Or do you think you're just another intern?
I think I stood out. I mean, I gave my all to what I did.
Right.
And I wrote a lot of nationally published articles for NBCnews.com. With Catherine, we co-wrote a lot of the articles, and by the end, I was writing them, and she was approving them. So she put my name first, which was really awesome on the authoring of those articles. And since I've seen prior interns, after me, and they haven't written as many articles as I did. I really went above and beyond, and I think Catherine took notice to that.
Yeah, that seems to be your mantra so far, and I love it.
And I'm a strong believer in going beyond the required.
So we have to jump to WNEP, and I'm going to be totally honest here. I feel like I'm in Catholic confession. So when I heard about you coming here, I knew nothing about you. I'm thinking there's something fishy about this guy. Why, if he's a big shot with Al Roker, why, if he's good looking as he is?
You're too kind.
Everyone loves this guy. He's got a great personality, sweetheart, so smart. I believe first in your class at Rutgers or something, perfect 4.0.
I got and that actually extends all the way back to kindergarten. From my very first class, I've never gotten anything less than an A.
Yeah, so
throughout all of high school, I got nothing less than an A+. I was the only student ever to do that in my high school, the vocational technical school.
It's
a record that extends 18
listen
years.
to this, folks. So hearing all of this, no offense to WNEP, we're just another local station.
No, you're not.
So I thought, why would he come here then? And I'm guilty of this guy seems like, with all of his qualifications, his looks, his intelligence, his personality, his contacts
That's
with
why
NBC.
I am here.
I'm thinking he can go to Chicago, he can go to
Definitely
LA.
not.
Why is he coming here? And I
Definitely
still
not.
don't need to know that answer.
So, broadcast meteorologists start their career straight out of college, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pause. We're gonna get to your question, but I wanted to just say about STEM Cs. It got canceled. I just remembered that. It got canceled during COVID, right?
Yes.
But then with my persistence, I kept asking them, summer 2021, so is there going to be a STEM Seas expedition? No. Summer 2022, now I'm graduated. Is there still going to be a STEM Seas expedition? And I was like, I'm graduated now, but I still want to go.
You're still pushing it.
And they said, Jeremy, we know how badly you want to go. We're going to have you out on a ship. And I got to go in
And this
August.
is after you, so you are the only college graduate who's doing an intern type thing?
Yeah.
So there's some more persistence coming through.
And I was the only graduate there. There were freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors on the ship. There were some grad students too, but nobody who was graduated and not planning on going on to grad school as of yet. So I was the only student there who was graduated, and I got to do a transit from Seattle down to San Diego, where I got to take those water samples, and I got to meet students from across the country, and that was an amazing experience.
See, you had to get back to that. Now you reminded me of something I always told my kids when they were little. I said,
and then I'll get back to why WNEP.
Oh, yeah,
we got it in our board.
But you were an example of this. Maybe you're not an example of this. I told my kids, there's always going to be someone smarter than you. There's always going to be someone better looking than you. There's always going to be someone faster than you. There's always going to be someone more this, more that. But is there going to be someone more passionate than you?
No. Or you, for that matter.
So
I mean, take a look at one of your forecasts, and you'll see there's nobody more passionate than you.
No, but that's my point. So passion is the key to everything, I think.
I think so.
I think
passion
it really
and,
is.
like you said, respect.
Passion. Oh, I like that. Passion, respect. So yes. So you prove that. Although I don't know if that works because maybe there is no one smarter than you. Maybe there is no one.
I don't think so.
Maybe there is no one better looking than you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. You're looking right here. There's the guy that's smarter and better looking than me.
So
No,
the
you're too
WNEP
kind.
thing, how does it happen?
So the WNEP, right. So right after graduation, you normally go on your broadcast career, and that's why I brought up STEM Seas. I instead wanted to pursue my scientist side, my research side, to be able to experience what it's like to be involved in marine science.
Okay.
And I took some time off. I wanted to do that STEM Seas thing, and then I got more involved in it. Now I'm an ambassador for the program, and I speak at conferences across the country about the program.
But Jeremy, there, some cynic could say, it's time to start life. Get a job, okay? Get a full-time job. Enough of this.
Right.
That's like a dad thing. I would probably say
and
that
I
to my
always planned on it.
I would
but,
maybe say that to my kid.
After 18 years of working beyond the required and being a firm believer of being determined and persistent,
okay.
I was tired, and I needed just some time before I jumped into my career for my mental health. To be prepared.
Okay.
To be able to be a good broadcast meteorologist. So I planned on looking for jobs in the fall of 2022, maybe giving myself about 6 months.
Okay.
And I ended up filling it with the STEM Seas experience, and then being an ambassador for the program and speaking at conferences about it. But once you come out of college, and this is getting back to your question, there are 210 markets across the country.
I did not know that.
210 news markets. So those are sections of the country that are split up where you can see that station's broadcast from.
So when you say
WNEP's
one
station,
of those, we're 3 stations in this market, or
right,
2
so
stations.
this is a market.
This is one of the markets.
One market.
Okay.
It's the Scranton Wilkes-Barre market.
Right.
And there's 210 of them across the country. Number 210 is in Montana, where only 4,000 people can watch you. And number 1 is New York City, where 7.5 million people can watch you. So they're ranked based on the number of households that can tune in and see you, right? And that's households, not people. So 7.5 million households, and how many more people is that, right?
Yeah, 5, 10 people watching a house.
We're talking about, exactly. So normally you will start your career at a 210 to a 100. That's your range of markets that you'll start your career at. Because any further market, you'll have to have some type of experience in a prior market to be able to get on air there.
I think that's changing. But I see where you're going.
Not so much.
I see where you're going.
So
Okay.
you said, why doesn't he just go to Chicago?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not qualified to be in Chicago quite yet. I need...
Did you hear the quite yet? He's leaving us. He's leaving us, folks.
Don't put that in their head.
He's leaving us.
That's not true. I love you all here in northeastern and central Pennsylvania, and
it's
I am
okay.
proud to serve you. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
No, but it's okay.
Don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
It's okay.
Absolutely not.
But where does WDP fit into this?
That's what I want to get to. So, graduating from Rutgers, no person has ever gone straight to anything less than 100 market.
Okay.
Market 100. I remember 3 years before I graduated, we had a student who got into Athens, Georgia, who's like 108. Market 108. We were all freaking out for her. We were like, wow, she got into 108. This is amazing. This is a great start to her career. And now she works in New York City at Fox Weather.
Ooh.
and the streaming platform. Jane Minar, she's a great person. I still keep in contact with her to this day. WNEP falls at number 58.
I knew we were in the 50s, which is pretty impressive.
Extremely impressive.
And
we broadcast to over 500,000 households here in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. So when I was
But how did you
preparing for my
research all
job-
this? You researched all this.
Yeah,
You're
of
looking at
course.
TV stations,
Of course.
numbers,
Yes,
facts,
yes, yes.
figures.
And when I
See
put
how
out
passionate this guy is? I never even looked into that garbage.
Well, you wound up at the right place. So that's all that matters.
So you found WNEP stuck out.
WNEP 100% stuck out because I was getting offers from across the country. I got offers from Norfolk, Virginia, which actually is, Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, and that was 46. So that's a higher market, even more people.
Right.
From Kentucky and Connecticut and
Interesting.
Albany reached out. All kinds of stations reached out when I put my reel, which is basically my video resume, out there on YouTube. But WNEP,
And by the way, in the video resume, were you trying to be TV weather guy, or were you saying, this is me, take me or leave me?
yeah, of course.
What, the latter?
Yes. This
Man
is
bun,
me. This is
you-
me, and I got hits.
Did
on
you
it.
feel that deterred in any way? Or
There
you
are
don't
so
know?
many news directors that told me that you're going to have to change your look in order to be able to
They
be
told you
accepted.
flat out that.
Flat out.
I like
People
how you
from-
said, damn the torpedoes, screw you, I'm doing my thing.
And I didn't expect to look like this ever. The only reason I ended up growing out long hair is because of the pandemic. And I was on my way to growing long hair, and I was like, well, screw it now. I don't care what I look like. And then I grew a beard, and I didn't even know I could do that.
Did your mom give you similar advice, or no?
To cut my hair and beard?
No, to maybe you should conform a little more. or
No.
No.
Never.
Oh, I
My
like this
mom-
one. I like this woman.
My mom is a trailblazer go-getter, too.
I like
And maybe
this
that's
woman.
where I get it from.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sure you do. I love
she
it.
is a
I
persistent...
love free thinkers.
She is a persistent bugger. And she will go after what she believes in. And I wholeheartedly took that from her. And she always said, go for what you look like. This is you.
This
you
is
are
you,
you.
yes.
And then I ended up keeping this look because of my modeling career, which I didn't expect to happen at all. I ended up joining the modeling team at Rutgers.
See,
and
we're
then
running out
the
of time.
modeling team.
I wanted to do a whole.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to bug you about the model thing before this ends in 5 minutes.
Okay. So,
But WNEP stuck out, and then you applied.
my modeling career wanted this look. So because it wanted this look, I ended up keeping it, and I said, I'm going to stick it to the career professionals here in the meteorology realm and be who I am. I am the only long-haired meteorologist in the entire country on air.
Wow.
As I know of. If anyone wants to come out after this podcast and say I'm a long-haired male meteorologist.
No, you don't know how much I love that.
But as far as I know, I'm the only long-haired male meteorologist on air.
I love it.
So anyway, WNEP stuck out for many reasons. First of all, you get to do the weather outside. Where else can you do the weather outside? There's about a handful of stations across the country that you can do it.
Perfect.
Minneapolis, there's Denver.
Who cares?
And us. And several others. That allows me to showcase my fashion on air. I can wear whatever I want. I can break the bounds of what is professional. You in your shorts, Allie in her coats.
Sorry, I already did that.
But that's
Yeah.
really awesome that
So
I
this all
can
stuck
showcase
out.
that. Number one, John Hickey reached out to our professors at Rutgers and said, hey, we kind of need some help here to fill in every once in a while. Is there anybody, recent grads, who is interested? And I reached out to my professor at Rutgers and said, hey, I'm kind of interested. When would this be for? And instead of telling me any information, he just put me directly in contact with Hickey. And we've continued the conversation there. And I felt such a warm vibe from everybody here that I spoke to.
And the news director,
Our news director,
immediately
Rachel,
embraced you.
Immediately embraced me.
Because she's a cool free
Kurt.
thinker, too.
Kurt, once we talked for the first time, I knew there was something special between me and Kurt. We connected over our love for dogs. You know, he's the dog guy, Ranger and Roscoe. And I had a dog when I was growing up. Her name was Tukey. Sweetest dog, and she taught me what it's like to love something. Loved her so much, and I miss her to this day. She was 17 and a half when she died. But anyway, Tukey was a Lhasa Apso, and we connected over our love for dogs. And I said, I've never felt like I fit in a place like ever before, like this. And not once was I asked to alter my appearance. Being able to work outside, being able to live just 2 hours away in New Jersey.
Which sounds like a long commute.
Which sounds like a long commute, but it's not,
right.
because it's a lot closer than Iowa, Indiana,
And you're used to driving to
Ohio.
the Delaware Gap or something. What's another 40 minutes?
Right, exactly. But I was told I'd have to start out in Idaho or Montana as my first broadcast job, and just breaking that stereotype of being able to break into a market that's just 2 hours away from home.
And you saw WNEP, there's a lot of free thinkers. We're
I
doing
saw it
our
as a
own
lot of
thing.
free thinkers. I saw it as a awesome opportunity to learn from the best in this industry, to be able to showcase my fashion on air, to be able to break boundaries in this industry.
And you're doing it.
And then also just to have a community of people that really support what we do here. You know, we have the best viewers around. There isn't anybody else that follows their news personalities like they're a member of the family.
It sure seems that way. It's awesome.
So
I'm glad. So why don't you just stay here forever?
I might. I just might. If Kurt has
Like
if Kurt has anything to do with it, he wants me to. So.
And look at me. I'm 57. I'm going to be dead soon. You can just
Oh,
take over for me.
stop that. You have a long life ahead of you.
I'm just kidding.
What do
No.
you say, what do you say every day on your forecast?
It's a great day to be alive.
And you're
man.
gonna be alive
You
for
know
a
I'm
lot of
just
great
kidding. But the
days.
point is, we'd love to have you here. We'd love to have
That's
you
funny.
here.
Thank
And I'm
you.
glad you're loving it. And I seem like I'm rushing things because I do have to go teach at Marywood
I know.
in
I
20
know you
minutes.
do.
But so when you started here and you started doing it, a little uncomfortable at first. I don't know, were you?
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
you feel like
I mean,
you
I
got
did a lot
into
of
groove
practice
now?
on air at Rutgers, and I did some practices during my internship with the Today Show as well. But
you're in a
I
groove.
never did a outdoor forecast. There's a whole different set of rules. You know, first weather is just you, and then your graphics, and then
Yeah.
just you again, and then main weather is you go up onto the green screen, but you're moving around a lot.
Yeah, it's
and you
awesome.
have to, there's just a lot with the clicker and being able to build all your graphics before your show.
Awesome.
So during my training week, you know, I was fully equipped with all the information I needed, especially by Allie. She wrote out this entire list of things of what I need to do for every shift, and Kurt was such a great role model.
Because you were filling in for Allie, so she gave you the rundown on her shift.
Right. Well, all the shifts, actually. She created a rundown for all the shifts, including Valerie's, because I was filling in for Valerie as well. And you, once. That was on the day after Christmas.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and
so
it was-
you're loving it so far.
2 degrees outside. So you're lucky you didn't work that day.
So we all welcome you. We love you. We
Thank
hope
you.
you're here to stay. And I'm not going to let you go until I ask you. Did I leave anything out, by the way?
I don't think so. Just the modeling thing.
That's
is
what I'm
you
going to
wanted
get to right now. So listen, I'm a little annoyed by it, jealous of it. Model doesn't when you tell someone you're a model, doesn't it come with a little bit of something, a little bit of what a jerk? What is that about
maybe that's
human?
why I leave it out a lot of the time.
What is it about human nature? You know another example of that? When you see people put on their sunglasses, my theory is always if you have sunglasses on, you become a jerk. And I don't know why that is too.
Okay.
Because
Well,
they're-
you'll never see us with sunglasses on. We're not allowed to wear them outside in our studio.
could you imagine if one of us, because it's bright out there at times, did the
is.
forecast with glasses on, you'd be like, what a jerk. What do they think you are?
Pretentious. I
Pretentious.
guess.
So for whatever reason it is, I'm not saying you're a jerk.
There is a stigma of
There is
pretentiousness
a
around being a
stigma
model.
of you say you're a model. So what is
It's hard. Model life is not easy. And I'm not saying that in a
what is it you-
sarcastic
what
way.
do you model? What does that mean?
So,
you're ripping your shirt off now for the camera? Go ahead.
I have no abs to show you. I'm sorry. But I joined the modeling team at Rutgers, and then I tried out on a whim for Atlantic City Fashion Week, which is a fashion show in Atlantic City where you get to model all kinds of designer brands.
So clothes model.
Clothes modeling, yes, yeah. And I was discovered after I walked. Oh, I got in, which I didn't expect. And then I walked, and I got discovered by a modeling agency, and a scout signed me to their agency, and now I am a sign model where they look for commercial and print opportunities, and I'm looking for commercial and print opportunities as well.
So we might see you on a billboard wearing underwear?
That's not allowed according to my contract with WNEP.
Oh, that's right. Otherwise, would you take it, though?
Maybe if I
Underwear.
worked out a little bit more.
Underwear model? You know, the
Maybe
guy,
not
he's
so
sitting
much.
there. He's sitting there like on his Jeep Wrangler. The sun is setting. He's smoking a cigarette, and he's in his underwear.
You'll never see me smoke a cigarette. But,
That's right. No more cigarettes. All right.
but I don't think so.
But this model thing could take off in another direction.
I'm
or
looking
no?
for more print commercial opportunities, like for being a secretary in a background, or
Okay.
for a Frito-Lay commercial, or for several other Lenovo, like the computer brand. I'm constantly auditioning for these
Oh, that's
different
excellent.
opportunities, both on print and in commercials. Haven't gotten any yet, but I'm officially a runway model. So I just walked in New York Fashion Week last week. I walked
Folks,
in
what a jerk.
3
huh?
different shows.
What a pretentious jerk.
I'm not wearing sunglasses.
I'm just
Come on.
kidding. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
I walked
No,
in
that's
3 different
awesome.
shows, and I got to model all kinds of different designer wear. And I have a runway walk. that I just taught Chelsea and Claire on Facebook
You have
Live
a walk that you do.
that I do and that I've curated over the past 4 years.
Jeremy. It seems to me like you are a rocket on a launch pad, and the countdown is on. That's how
Oh,
it seems
thank
to
you.
me. So I'm glad we did this podcast because I'm going to say I knew him before he was extremely rich and extremely famous. And then I'm going to call you up someday and say, hey, take me out to Hollywood. I want to hang out with your big friends, and you're going to owe me.
Of course. I owe you already. But until I can pay you back, we're going to pretend like I don't owe you. But very, very kind of you to see, to have the faith and believe in me.
I'm telling you, you're a rocket on the launch pad, man.
Another mentor that I'm really grateful to have. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's say tomorrow you get a phone call. It's a modeling agency. And they say, we're going to give you $350,000 a year to model for us for 3 years. It's a contract. It's kind of what you want. It's everything you can imagine. And then you're all excited. You're pumped. And the phone rings a second after that. And they're like, okay, this is the Today Show. And we're going to give you $350,000.
Now, why would you make me choose between the two?
You have to pick, brother. Come on. You got to pick. What's it going to be?
I'm going out on another ship expedition.
Oh, you're going to turn both down. I love it. Turn them down.
I had to go do some more research. No, I don't know what I would choose in that. I mean, my life goal has always been to be a broadcast meteorologist since I was 5 years old, giving that forecast in kindergarten. So I can't turn down the Today Show.
Ooh, I love it.
But the money in modeling is a lot more than you'd find on air. You don't make a lot as a broadcast meteorologist.
It all depends on what you mean by a
And of
lot.
course, when I'm part-time, I need something to supplement my income, and that's
Right.
why I do the modeling on the side. Because one commercial you could get $2,000, $3,000 from for 1 day of shooting for 10 hours.
In one newscast, you're not getting that.
Definitely not. Don't think we're allowed to say how much, but definitely not. Not $1,000, $2,000.
All right, well, he's about to blast off, folks. He's on the launch pad, and he's going to go. So, Jeremy, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing the podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This is something I've wanted to do since I first looked up WNEP, and I saw Mr. Curiosity. I saw the...
Oh, I love it. And
the anthem that you have at the beginning, the Songify anthem. I used to use that app all the time.
You're on to me. I didn't think anyone knew.
I knew about it.
That might be.
And when
that might be copyright infringement.
when I saw that for the first time, I was like, I gotta get on this, guys. If they like me at this station, I gotta get on this Mr. Curiosity. So I did it. I did it, everybody.
Oh, man. He sold me out. All right, here's the sound of Jeremy's launch pad now, the rocket. That's not blowing up.
As long as there's no blow up in the end,
that's
exactly.
sky high, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
coming
much,
in.
Joe.
Curiosity. What are you so curious about? Everything, Mr. Curiosity.